Ok, ci sono. Si sente? Aspetta, Ok, direi che devo alzare un po' il volume.
And I think that's also the first one that we are going to cast since the EWT versus B team match. Sadly, due to technical limitations, we can't access that anymore. So that one is sadly lost to the nether.
It's lost to the ether. It's gone to the shadow.
Ok, dovrebbe essere buono adesso.
We have a very nice free games to broadcast today. As you say,
Dove hanno rinchiuso Ego? Non lo so, ha fatto il match la scorsa volta, non so adesso se farà qualche altra match.
Immune versus Imps, the first and second seed, and Cross Guild versus Ronin as our third and final game of today. And I think it's
Quindi
sono
3 game, giusto? Ho capito bene? E il secondo dovrebbe essere quello di Conte? Io comunque tra poco devo andare, cioè vado a cena, sto morendo di fame, raga. Bella Nick, buonasera, buonasera.
This is how Group A kind of resulted in the end, as it looks like. I'm going to bring you that one. It's fine, we'll edit it out in post,
For sure we are. Yeah, the
top
side of EWT versus BTM. One is lost, but it was won by EWT eventually. And then PingDiff versus X, that's gonna be our first game. Both of those teams sort of bruised.
Ok, quindi all'inizio c'era PingDiff versus X.
In quarters.
There we go.
Hopefully we are gonna see it in a second. If not, it's fine. Like, you can see, like, this is more like a
anche le notifiche ti arrivano. Certo che ti arrivano le notifiche. Maledetto. Ah, tra l'altro ho sbagliato.
I can actually give you guys kind of the context behind this one is that essentially, like, we were talking, it was like, hey, we need to get these
così subito, dai.
in. It's like, well, we also want to stream the seeding game, so why don't we just
cavolo
cosa a broadcast? And it's a fun little cozy Tuesday stream. As you can tell, it is definitely kind of still being built up. We're having fun here, honestly, Tang. But anyway, I think what we can do at least is
comunque c'è la moda di stare in piedi.
The top 8 teams themselves, really, and kind of like I say, we do know a lot of these.
Comunque Tang dovrebbe un po' anche rifare il letto, non capisco perché streama con dietro il letto sfatto. Ma dagli un messaggino, Arco. Altri attori in piedi. Con il letto sfatto dietro, mannaggia. Nemmeno da McDonald's.
Move towards my cam now. We should be in frame and actually see the bracket as well. You can see it right here. EWT against B team. It was EWT taking that one. PingDiff versus X. That's going to be the first game that we are going to watch. But honestly, TJ, going back to your question, I think in Group A, I think everything sort of developed as we would expect.
Però almeno c'hanno una bella canzoncina sotto. Non so se mi copyright strikeranno questa questa canzoncina, probabilmente sì, però vabbè.
In towards the bottom 8 as well, because this was a completely different format as well, obviously having a double
Spero di no, però forse sì.
within a group stage as
Quindi
well.
I don't
That is
know.
something that we were trying to cook up, and hopefully, you know, that has gone down well. Of course, please leave your feedback for the players as well. And we're just going to be, you know, rambling a little bit onwards. I think what we'll do though is probably just go straight into our first game. For sure. PingDiff versus X, of course, this is the 3rd or 4th seed from the Group A matchup.
Okay.
So I hope we should be ready to bring you the draft. Here we go.
Eccoci qua, il draft. X contro Oh, che bello, che io fra un po' me ne vado a mangiare. Quindi volevo vedermi il match di Conte, ma a quanto pare non è il primo, per fortuna, che si possa andare a mangiare. Sto morendo di fame, raga, non ce la faccio più. Guardiamo il draft. Bandy Gideon per quanto riguarda gli X, Bandy Grooks per quanto riguarda PingDiff. Grim ovviamente prendono. Conte non gioca per primo? No, no, ci sono gli X contro i PingDiff.
Just seems to be, you know, the fridge has been unleashed. That kitchen appliance is being an absolute terror on the battleground at the moment, and such a huge amount of priority as well, as we saw.
In realtà questa cosa è molto buona, perché così posso andare a mangiare. Narbash, Muriel Zaros dirà. Minchia.
Banned as well, taking in the first rotation. Zaris, another massive pick here. There seems to be a lot on the table for both of these teams to be almost spoiled for choice, I might say.
Magari faccio in tempo per dopo, dai, speriamo, speriamo. Gadget.
For the side of PingDiff, Mural and Saras, the sort of super dive comp with the Mural, with the reversal of fortune.
Allora, Arco, come va la traduzione? Cosa mi dici?
Of those frags, it's going to be a jungle Saras most likely. We do know that M7MD loves to play that hero Feng Mao in the hands of M on the offlane is most likely where that one is gonna go. And honestly, TJ, with those picks, it looks very aggressive, but for the side of X with a gadget, sort of what you want people to dive into you and then
metà degli oggetti? Buono, buono.
For sure here as well, especially with PingDiff kind of revealing, as you say, the aggressiveness of
e qualcun altro sta in alto mare, ma chi se ne si fottano le altre lingue. Si fottano le altre lingue.
One pick that has just popped up, which of course is going to be one of the big talking points in the current patch. A Sparrow all the way down in 4th pick. Kind of still seems crazy to me that maybe like a month or two ago we were thinking no one ever picked Sparrow.
Rampage Sparrow.
Kind of seeing on the battleground at the moment, but that could be a very dangerous pick for PingDiff.
Questa settimana vedo di ultimare mi butto sugli offlaner. Bella Vichingo, buonasera. Ma è dura. Va bene, Pisca. Crediamo tutti in te. Crediamo tutti in te. Comunque ritradotto e riscritti si capiscono meglio gli oggetti. Molto bene. Sarebbe brutto il contrario. Cosa ti sei perso? Niente, niente. È il primo match questo. È il primo match. Il testo originale fa pena totale. 7000 ripetizioni per dire una cosa. Immagino. Pisca nazionale, ci vogliamo più pisca nel mondo, vero? Sappiamo che uno fa una... io fra un po' vado a mangiare. Fottetevi. Non cosa... account da YouTube, account da Twitch, che succede? Che sta succedendo? Il doppiamento delle persone.
So let's talk about win cons. Let's talk about expectations, Tang. What do we expect both of these teams to go with this game?
Comunque hanno entrambi una team comp buona, eh? No, oddio, Rampage, però vabbè. Chi è TJ DJ? Ah, no idea. Ah, ho capito chi è TJ DJ. Dai, ha fatto anche quella serie TV. Dai, come si chiama? Quello che faceva il tossico. Ah, ecco, Breaking Bad. È lui, è Jesse Pinkman, non vedi? Jesse Pinkman, Jay, vedi? È lui. È palesemente Jesse Pinkman.
honestly, I think they have better team play. I think they know each other a bit longer as
Ciao
well. But I
Pisca,
think the
buona
question is, can
cena.
they really fight
Harry
into
Potter?
sort of
No, è Jesse
aggressive
Pinkman.
talk that PingDev has drafted?
Yes, as you say, so much aggression, expecting the fireworks to come out. And honestly, this is a composition that kind of, when it gets ahead, when that ball gets rolling, I think any one of these picks here that PingDev have drafted can be absolutely terrifying when playing ahead. And also,
Perché sei in piedi?
that lead,
Una bella
which is also
domanda.
another crucial part of the competitive game as well. X have got some options. I want to see how it's going to play out. So let's us drop down into the battleground for game number 1 on broadcast as well. This is a best of 1 series, mind you, for seeding. Important.
Come best of 1?
For that as well. This decides third or fourth seed for a group number A as well.
Ah, ma perché decide il seed, quindi c'è solo una partita.
With the group stages going on this weekend, neither of us being available to cast, definitely feel a bit left out, you know. So it's going to be good to actually get some games, get some reps in before the main event bracket comes in.
Perché non hai sedie? Beh, ci sta. Ma quindi la partita del Conte fanno vedere quella del seed, che probabilmente è la peggiore che hanno giocato, I don't know. Forse sì, fanno vedere la peggiore che hanno giocato. Ah, ecco, vedi. Guarda, adesso sappiamo dove la streamano. Ah, l'abbiamo visto. L'abbiamo visto, ecco in che canale la streamano. Ecco in che canale la streamano. Avete visto? Lo streamano su un canale di Twitch, probabilmente neanche senza categoria, così non è impossibile da trovare. E poi la restreamano loro. Eccoli qua, beccati. Beccati. Certo che prendono i replay, però qualcuno li deve streamare perché deve fare da regista e poi dopo i caster commentano la regia. Per questo prendono il replay, lo streamano su Twitch. Ok. E poi loro lo restreamano, per questo che la qualità fa vomitare. Cioè, loro lo restreamano, io lo restreamo. Quindi la qualità fa ancora più vomitare. Vabbè. Vabbè. Io ho troppa fame, raga. Fra 5 minuti mi sa che vado a mangiare. Se c'è qualcuno che vuole prendere il mio posto, io lo lascio fino a quando torno. Qualche volontario che vuole rispondere alla chat. Tutto ciò perché hanno tolto i replay degli amici. Ma si può guardare un replay mentre sta andando la partita? A parte che ma non funziona lo stesso arco, perché uno deve fare da regista, cioè uno deve muovere la camera, quindi per forza devono restreamarlo. Mentre va la partita non più, ok. Ma comunque avrebbero dovuto restreamarla, perché uno fa da regista mentre gli altri castano quello che il regista muove. E quindi devono per forza restreamarla. Non c'è maniera che possono fare altrimenti. Certo, potrebbero non streamarla su Twitch. Il regista potrebbe streamarla tipo su YouTube in 4K. Così si vede meglio, però. Unlucky.
So I think that's like the main thing. They just have to survive the early game.
It's just gonna have to weather the storm as well. I mean, there was a reason that we saw Rampage being, well, the king of the jungle for such a long time. The power in that boulder toss. We want to see how he's going to utilize it. Neither junglers have shown just yet. Still, both of them inside of their relative clearing paths here. As Samus is still taking so much poke on the left-hand side. Just have to be careful of the piercing shot from ACM. But already Grim and Bill are starting to feel that pressure that we were expecting. But eyes on the mid laners as well as I am seeing a gank on the potential here for Khaled on Zarus towards the off lane as well, as that is a very low health bar as well on that Greystone, but the gank has been called off here. Zeros. Both teams just playing with fire.
Vediamo la gank in mid. Lo sa Gadget, lo sa Gadget. No, non lo sa.
Towards the mid lane of Easy Peasy on the Gadget. Doesn't have a dash, but does have a speed gate. Will root up onto the Zeros, but has got enough distance. Landmine. Not going to boop him in towards danger, but still
Buono.
healthy dose.
Ottima giocata qua di Gadget. Fatto il root perfetto.
The biggest thing we can actually see on this game at the moment is that the lanes kind of go in favor of PingDiv at the moment. See the Greystone having a bit of a rough time in the off lane. The wave is permanently frozen under the enemy's tower. Already had to blink away in the isolated 1v1 as well. Dual lane not really going much better, but at least on the dual lane you can always feel that at some point it's gonna swing that matchup once the crash bang boom goes online for Billa, once they contain those hard CCs. But for that Greystone on the right hand side can't really shuffle.
Dai, partita equilibratina finora, dai.
In front of the tower and the Ceres.
Vuol dire sono 4 minuti, beh, effettivamente. Ed eccolo il secondo gank qua. Al jump Greystone? Pare di no.
Making a move over. Okay, they should respect
brutta roccia qua.
As on that Feng Mao, just both junglers showing presence on the right hand side, trying to break a bit of a
tanto i mid se la danno di santa ragione.
In the mid lane, but we still approaching that 5-minute mark, and it's not for lack of trying, no. Still keep this kill score 0-0.
Score 0-0,
blinks,
one blink down on the Greystone, but honestly that's not that bad. No gold buff actually secured by the side of X. Didn't expect that one. Locky gets a good.
Ditemi poi l'audio com'è.
Gonna have to dash away, should be fine though, but the bigger target is gonna be the 3 camp stolen away by Secret right there. Didn't quite see it on the camera, but I'm pretty sure that is what happens. More trading in the mid lane.
Sarà meglio prima, un pelino di più.
Low, but we know where the junglers are. Howitzer knows as well, knows he's safe for the second, but Rampage still looking.
Still wanting that
Cosa sta succedendo?
Ah,
complimenti alla roccia.
The boulder toss, landmine boops him away, but doesn't boop him to safety. Has to burn the blink to keep himself alive. Even Billa made the rotation, as again, no one is going to fall on this map.
And you can see
5 minuti 0-0.
Not even thinking that the Howitzer is gonna overstep beyond that shadow wall. Didn't have the rock ready, otherwise it would be an easy kill. And also sidestepping it for the side of L, definitely clean movement. Maybe a bit of criticism to the Rampage as well. Could have probably aimed that a tiny bit better. Good rotation though by Billa is gonna mean that Seamus is gonna get pushed away from the lane, maybe lose a few CS, but honestly not the worst at all.
Well, it's definitely kind of uphill from here, I guess. It's just moments before Seamus and Billa were just pushed underneath that tier 1 tower, weathering the storm, the poke coming out from ACM and KSA.
Più sonnolevole, più sonnolenta del solito, diciamo, sta partita. Almeno non è one-sided, dai, per adesso. Sembra abbastanza equilibrata. Avrei potuto mettere le bet, effettivamente. Potrei metterle anche adesso, tanto comunque è equilibrata la partita, dai. Faccio una flash bet se volete bettare. Ok. Appena dove, dai. Gestisci. Ah, giusto, però no. Non lo posso fare perché sono già uscite le partite su Meda City, quindi la gente può barare. Quindi niente. Unlucky. Non metterò le bet.
With the barricades done and the spear of it hitting down, but does not have Colosseum that could keep Easy Peasy alive.
Non so se sentite il campanile, ma c'ho il campanile che è tipo le big suonerie. Ma che emote è quella lì, Frank? What the fuck? Attenzione che qua vediamo la sparo perire per le per quanto riguarda il team PingDiv. Però poteva lasciarla a Grim, effettivamente, la kill, Il buon Secret è stato un po' avaro. Di Zeb? Ah, ho capito.
And it is the Sparrow just blinking into his open arms. It's gonna donate over the first return kill for X in the game after Locke did go down for first blood just before. We see the man right here does go into a more of a tank build. Usually on the Greystone, we see a lot of members going for the sort of bruiser Greystone with something like a Basilisk. Instead, we do see the old Greystone with the
Dio, sto morendo di fame.
It is kind of looking at where this Greystone is in the lane, not quite getting ahead of the Feng.
Voi, raga, state mangiando? Avete mangiato? Mangerete? Cosa state facendo? Cosa mangiate di bello? Di buono, più che di bello.
We know the value that a Greystone can provide with that Stone for Soul, but look, buddy, you have got to press that ultimate button to use it. It is not the old Paragon ultimate, but Endo, we feel very happy on that Feng Mao into that pit. They're looking for a Funk, gonna maybe look towards ACM. Remember, doesn't have the blink from the earlier gank. So this 2v2, same as just hitting the suppression, hitting displays.
2v2 l'hanno vinto alla grandissima lei.
Damage being returned onto the dual lane of Ping Diff.
Didn't have the ultimate up on the Nabish, means no kill. Now L in the mid lane is gonna take the river buff, but what is it gonna cost? Secret is hovering close by.
And they're completely, you know, pinted him away.
Mamma mia, che brutta ulti.
Actually to get away from the ultimate, and the make it rate comes down. Easy peasy.
E prende pure la kill.
He's going down from the make it rain.
Mamma mia, che giocata qua che ha fatto Awe. Più che altro che brutta giocata che ha fatto Gadget.
Over and a retreat is called out from Ping Diff. They thought about going back in. L very low. The rotation will be enough. It's only going to be the one kill though, and Ping Diff starting to pull ahead.
Yeah, easy peasy. More like take the L in the mid lane. Kill going over to the Howitzer is gonna be a good time for him, especially with the Rampage being close by, providing the sort of assistance, but still falling in the 1 versus 2. Definitely a good look for that Howitzer that we were actually expecting to struggle a tiny bit. We haven't really seen much of L quite yet, so it is definitely a good time seeing him pop off in those sort of seeding games. Now we see members grouping up around that mini prime, but remember, no ultimate up on that Rampage, so really taking any of those objectives is gonna be pretty hard.
Looking at the jungle fighting of these teams as we approach that mid game of this match, where fighting around Fangtooth, fighting around.
Comunque ancora abbastanza equilibrata.
Advantage to have something like the Behemoth available to.
Cosa hanno fatto? Scambio lane. Parrebbe così. Mid lane con dual lane.
Lot of solo time on this left hand side with that rotation from Billa, and also same as just moments
Qua probabilmente vogliono fare il Fangtooth.
On the left hand side, utilizing this advantage here as they know that there's no jungler around here, and this is just going to be a very easy take for of the Ping Diff. Thank you very much.
Easy. Fangtooth qua per Ping Diff.
See the side of X going over to the mini prime, trying to trade that out. That should probably
niente male.
Well, since Ceres is still on the red side, so it's just gonna be a trade of objectives. But TJ, it is gonna mean that we have the decision to make. Who is gonna pick it up? It is gonna be Secret. I was almost expecting for the Grim to get it, to sort of accelerate your hyper carry, to accelerate same as already 1.5 items deep, but instead it is gonna be on the big fish monkey. Wants to accelerate his farm and then also decide which lane.
Vabbè raga, io sto morendo di fame, vado a mangiare un boccone, vi lascio alla match, poi ci becchiamo dopo. Se c'è qualcuno, però non penso ci sia nessuno, stanno mangiando tutti, che vuole rispondere alle domande in chat, ma direi che stanno giocando tutti, giustamente, oppure stanno mangiando. Quindi ci becchiamo fra un pochino che vado a mangiare qualcosa. Intanto vi lascio il match. Ciao ciao!
Comes out, but that is going to force a reset on the left-hand side here. So X starting to get some pressure on the left-hand side of the map.
And I think, TJ, one thing that is good to note here is that I was actually expecting a bloodbath. Looking at the players playing in this one, and also like, so sort of like their style that I see when they play in solo queue, I was actually expecting a lot of kills happening. Now at 30 minutes in the game almost, we see objectives taken pretty cleanly, clean rotations. We only see 3 kills, now maybe 1 more on the left-hand side, but definitely a different game to a normal one.
Kelly's going to go in there with the Colosseum, and maybe that's the bloodbath we're waiting for as KSA's reversal of fortune knocks onto the same as Deflection Shield can't save you now as ACM lights them up with the inner fire, with the attack speed provided from that mural as well. They're going to take down the dual lane on his left-hand side. Secret does importantly keep that mini prime, but it will cost him his dual lane. He's still going to stick around, but this is not a jungle that he can really survive in.
That's an important punish. Make sure that that dual lane that has been getting a lot of attention can't snowball any further. Locke is trying to dive M, but it's going to be really hard to dive a Feng Mao. Is going to have to burn the Stoneforged Soul still under the enemy's turret. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a kill going over as well. Action everywhere.
And M still has a Shatter though. Lock maybe has learned his lesson. Another Reaping Dash, another hamstring comes down. Lock going low, but M does not pull the trigger, does not press the R key for that ultimate, as you did have that pick in the mid lane. Being there 5 kills to 1. Secret hopping over to the left-hand side. Just clear this minion wave, trying to protect that tier 1 tower on the left-hand side, because Samus and Billa, for the 3rd time this game, have rotated into the mid lane tag.
And I think that's one of the things that I was expecting more. Right? Like I was saying, like there's not a lot of kills happening. We instantly see 3 kills going down on the dual lane around the jungle as well. But now we see those teams fully in action. We see the dual lane being like all over the place. Did already get that tier 1 on the left hand side, so nothing really stops them from making those rotations, which is going to be pretty hard for the Howitzer. It's pretty easy to hit those kill shots on such a big hitbox that is the sort of Sky Raccoon. So now with that Grim, with that Narbash making those rotations, the question is, can ACM, can KSA punish the gadget on the left-hand side?
That tier 1 tower is incredibly low, though. You have to imagine that just easy peasy here just to provide that wave clear. But one minion wave plus a couple of basics from that Sparrow, and that's going to be the first structure falling. Easy peasy, already having to concede pressure on that left-hand side as well. So it will be something for X to respond here as a Secret moving into that blue side of the jungle. You know, but ACM and KSA more than happy to just kind of soak up a bit of that experience as well and just keep that farm game going. Although that does mean that Samus and Billa, these team fighting, the damage that can come out from X is quite substantial, but they've not been able to convert that into kills just yet.
Yeah, definitely kills in favor of PingDiff. Also for X, they did get the mini prime, but didn't really get any use of it with the Rampage, not able to really impact any lanes, with the dual lane dying there in the sort of gank with the Saras popping that Colosseum. Now in the mid lane, or actually in the jungle, we see Saras and Secret fight for the red buff. It is going to be the Sarah stealing that one away. It's going to sting a tiny bit for Secret. It's just going to channel the recall. Not going to worry too much. In the mid lane, though, might be the tier 1, the target. Samus is going to drop it. It's just going to move away. He's not going to risk his own life trying to defend this, but with more members coming in, it should be an easy defense. Right-hand tower falling, though, to the Fengmao.
There's a lot of latent goal being picked up by the side of PingDiff as well on both the side lanes. Secret, respect the attempt, buddy, to go for, well, I was going to call that a 3-pointer, but that's probably outside the stadium into the hoop if you hit that one. But they are going to transition, as they have got numbers advantage straight in towards a second Fangbooth of the game. ACM and KSA are both here. L on the way from the mid lane, but it's still numbers advantage for X. They want to pull the trigger. Okay, they're looking for an angle to go in. Bale's going to be popped by Secret. They're going to try and go on towards the back on the left-hand side. Caleb engages on towards the right. The Secret pops Razorback. He's just marshalling members away, and PingDiff having to pull back. They're trying to kite this one out. M coming over the wall with the hamstring and make him pay with one Earth Shatter. Gets one execute. Lock able to take one back though. It's going to be a 2-for-1 for now, but easy peasy doing what he can in the middle of it all. But you've got a Fang man who's got those resets on the ultimates. He's going to get his second one down underneath the tower. Looking for M. Gonna find him as well. A 4th kill on the board for PingDiff as a bloodbath finally happens on the left-hand side.
Bloodbath, but it took so long for it to happen. Muriel and Narbash providing so much sustain that the fight takes forever. Finally, Samus gets picked off, or actually just gets really low at the back end of the fight. Does retreat, does actually get another pick on that howitzer that did do a bit of a cheeky face check, but importantly, Fangbooth going over to the side of PingDiff. That's going to be the second one in their pockets already. And with that Fangbooth claimed, with that fight won, they couldn't even trade it for the mini prime on the other side of the map. So now X is still making their way over. We can see 4 members making their rotation over to the mini prime pit. Might be a sort of opportunity to pick that one, as we have a bit of a look at the scoreboard as well. But yeah, as I just said, mini prime really started up. Sarah's in the mid lane, but the rest of his members are not there quite yet. 4K the HP, but Sarah's is looking.
still has an opportunity to go in as that mini prime is not taking much damage. The boulder toss and a funk, a beautiful layering of CC means Kayla cannot get in towards the pit. Not going to engage, gonna throw down the gates, gonna go forward, but ATM lighting them up. You do not fight a Sparrow with an inner fire ultimate in that tight corridor. But Kayla once more, same as his deflector shield, can only spare him for 1 moment longer. He gets a kill back, but 2 members will drop from Team X. Ping Diff running riot.
Running riot, 2 kills for 1. Mini Prime though secured on the Rampage that did get away scot-free. So all in all, not the worst play, but definitely not the sort of play you wanna see out of X. It's not the play that is gonna make you come back in this game. I really hope for them to win a few more matches to keep this close, to keep this interesting. But as it stands at the moment, they don't really have an answer to the Sparrow that is able to free fire in all of these team fights, just able to shred through the front line with no problems whatsoever.
And it's also with, you know, those big hitboxes as well. Secret able to set a blue buff. It did see M just kind of hide it behind the corner as well. I don't know if the Secret is actually aware of the Feng Mao here. He's going to recall right in front of him. You know, a little bit of the BM there to know, but he has got absolutely no danger of being picked off there. A 3-level lead on the solo laner for Ping Diff versus the jungler of X and Tang. Maybe the points I want to perhaps try and float to you as well is just that Ping Diff finding way more impact in this fight. It seems like every rotation, every engage has just been hurting so much more with how Ping Diff have been playing.
And it's also their heroes as well, right? Like a Feng Mao in your backline is gonna mean that the Grim has a good night post on his head. And the same for the Saras, locking him in. We're in the Colosseum, especially when the blink is still not up. That could be a lifesaver, but as it stands at the moment, together with the reversal of fortune of the mural of KSA, it's just really hard for the backline to actually deal any damage in these fights. Gadget also pretty good in those sort of long engages, but she wants to play front to back. She wants to play around her backline, but if the Grim gets instantly deleted, it is pretty rough. Now, we do have a cinematic shot as a lot of members group around that mid lane. Tier 1 still standing for Ping Diff.
ATM pushing on the left-hand side. X just having to try and force its objective down. L and M on towards the right. M goes in with their hamstring just to get underneath that tier 1 tower that still stands a constant thorn in the side of X. They've committed 5 members over towards the mid lane, looking for that structure. Maybe, you know, did have the numbers advantage, but just not in a position to really capitalize on that. ACM will be rejoining the fight from the left-hand side. And X, though, it's much ado about nothing, I'm afraid. They have to back away.
And they're losing so many waves on those side lanes. Like left lane, we see the tier 2 tower being half HP, probably 1.5 waves being lost to that one. Same one on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, for the side of Ping Diff, they shove their waves and then they just need to defend the tier 1 to just stay safe under turrets. There's no real dive potential on the side of X, par the Rampage and the Greystone, but if they ever leave the backline, then that backline is not going to have a good time against that Saras, against that Feng Mao.
Well, we have seen that time and time again as M and Caleb have just found opportunities to get into that backline. I mean, just going back to that fight around the Fangtooth moments ago with that, you know, M reaping, dashing over the wall straight into the backline, getting 2 with his shatter as well. Massive impact does win you games. I think maybe as well with Ping Diff as well. I mentioned in the draft, you know, it's all about getting ahead and, you know, hey, this game's going to be a bit more of a coast, but it's actually keeping their lead. And as you said, you know, being patient and knowing that you don't actually want to give away too much right now, just keeping ahead in the match, playing smartly.
Yeah, and by keeping ahead, they really want to take that Fangtooth as well. It just spawned. It's going to be the 3rd one if they secure that one. It's going to be permanent bonuses for the entire team. Secret is close by, 3 versus the rest. It's going to happen.
Muff's going to be popped as Secret's going to go in. Fangtooth's going to be left alone versus Fortune comes down, but X actually keeping members alive and make it rain. Ultimates, circles upon circles dropping, but Ping Diff actually secure the Fangtooth, and with the damage boost, they're looking for the exit frags. L throwing down the AoE, throwing out the damage, but X actually being a lot more healthier in the play. M goes in, but look at that immediate boulder toss, and the Feng Mao is locked out. It's going to be free falling for 2 of X. They want more. L is on the retreat. CZBZ Unlocked trying to get the pick down, but they do get a team fight win, even if they did lose that 3rd Fangtooth.
Yeah, getting one more pick, but losing that more important raptor is gonna sting really badly for the side of X. They did get a really good drop onto the Sparrow at the beginning of the fight. The one hero that we really wanted to see targeted did end up falling pretty early on, but with the Bruiser still being so strong, with the Saras and Feng Mao carrying that fight together with the Howitzer, they still managed to at least trade it 2 for 3 and get that Fangtooth secured for themselves. It's gonna mean that they are pretty strong. They like all those assassins, they scale pretty well, and now with those percentage bonuses, it's gonna mean even more trouble for the backline of X.
Not just having 8% more damage, it's going to be killing you 8% quicker, and also going to be 8% slower to kill in return as well, of course, with the damage, with the bonuses to your power, and also bonuses to your defenses, magical and physical as well. Both teams just jockeying for position. There is an Orb Prime up for grabs on the map here at 24 minutes, but of course, X really don't want to be on that side of the map just now. PingDiff just playing this one a little bit passively here, as both teams just say jockeying for position, and a bit of a lull state is starting to be entered here. Samus and Billado wanting me to cast a custom to Oblivion, face checking M, but I'm going to get away with that one.
Yeah, you are gonna get away with the Sparrow on the left-hand side. It's definitely PingDiff not wanting to engage in any of those fights at the moment. They're still looking for the Prime, but Sparrow on the left-hand side, I think that threat is really not to be taken seriously. Khalid is going into the red side jungle, is a bit overexposed, needs to be careful, but again, the bleeding waves on the left-hand side. It is X not really playing the map too well. PingDiff really always in control of those side lanes, and that's really not what you want to see happen, because over time, slowly but surely, those XP leads are going to open up on those heroes, and that's definitely not what you want to see. Now, with the gadget having to go towards the left side, they pull the trigger and instantly go for the Orb Prime.
They know that there's no Tesla Dome available for this fight, and that would be one of the big win conditions for this Team 5X. But they have to kind of provide some contest there, as the Orb Prime will be taken down. Lock does go towards L on this Howitzer, takes the boulder toss. Reversal will come down to provide a little bit of shielding to make it rain. Also onto the backline as X wanting to engage the fight. They're trying to find this one front to back as a Test Dome causes some disruption, but M onto the right of the screen, sweeping dashed into the backline, and he just deletes the dual lane in an instant. Insult to injury. Where have X gone? They are aced from the map, and PingDiff look to make them pay.
Give them 1, give them 2, give them 3, give them 4. Why not give them 5? They get the full ace, get the big prime as well for the targets. Now the question is, with death timers ranging around 20 to 40 seconds, what can they get? Mid tier 2 is being pushed, so is the left tier 2. They are also going for the inhibs. I think it should be probably 1 inhib, 1 tier 2 additionally falling. It doesn't look like they can end on this wave, but maybe they're still trying. Feng Mao is not really with them. Billa is up, so is the rest. In a second, actually,
what the hell?
I completely underestimated that damage. Actually, they can easily end this one. Billa not even going out of the base to defend this one. It's gonna be PingDiff taking the game, and pretty convincingly, if I do say so myself, TJ.
I mean, we knew how confident they were to end that game there, and just knowing that they were able to take down the core, catching us by surprise as well. But I think maybe when you look at the XP leads as well, because the death timers, that would have been risky if this game was a little bit more even. But when you just take a look at the XP, take a look at the items on that scoreboard as well, there's no, you can completely see why PingDiff were like, hey, let's just end the game here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I was expecting for them to actually not go for the ends, because the Feng Mao was still on that left-hand side, but they knew they had the time. I was underestimating, honestly, the damage that comes out of the Sparrow, out of the Saras in sort of those structure ways, and they did easily actually get the finish off with the big prime also on 5 members, completely stomping that fight, honestly, not even dropping a single person. And I think with that, like, PingDiff, like, we talked about it, right? Like, can they transition their usually good early game into a winning sort of set? And they definitely delivered in that one.
They put up a great performance, and hey, that is why they were able to secure third seed as well. And of course, there was no elimination. This purely decides what side of the bracket they're going to face. So X, you know, I feel that there's quite a bit they can take away from that game as well in the VOD review as we look towards both teams getting ready for the main bracket on Saturday as well in their quarterfinal matchups here as well. X, you know, I kind of go back to that phrase I said on draft. Like, it's much ado about nothing. There was a lot of rotations, a lot of movements, but they were just kind of chasing shadows in the end. They were just losing a lot of time on that map.
Yeah, I like the idea sometimes with Billa and Seamus going towards the mid lane, but honestly, like, the Grim is not that much safer in the mid lane than he is on the duo lane. Like, comparing like Predecessor with like another sort of MOBA like League, for example, where you usually see those lane swaps coming in, but that's usually because the mid lane is kind of safer to farm for. That ADC also has easier rotations, but with the Predecessor map as it is, usually teams like to keep that ADC on that duo lane, have a bit of a longer lane as well to make it easier to actually run down somebody. So definitely that lane swap was not the biggest fan of it. Also, Locke maybe on that Greystone once he learns that that ultimate is actually inactive. I think he is going to have an easier time against the Feng Mao as well. So definitely some small errors coming in, but not the worst. I think if we did see a best of 3 between those two teams, I don't think it would be a clear-cut win for for PingDiff, excuse me.
I mean, as you say, yeah, like with what happened in that game, just finding impact in these games, you know, and there were a few things that could have been remedied in the draft. Of course, hindsight is 2020 and all that, not knowing when that draft was created, you know, how that game would have played out at least. But, you know, you'd expect maybe, you know, trying to take away that Zarus, trying to take away the Feng Mao, maybe just, you know, not take the Greystone, or maybe look for another option anyway. But a bit of food for thought for both of those teams. We're going to go through a quick break, but when we come back, 2 more games on broadcast. We're dropping down to Group B to find out the seeds for their teams. That game, Immune versus Imps, coming up in just a few short moments.
Ok, ci sono. Ah, ora sì. Con la pancia piena, sì. Con la pancia piena, ora sì. Allora chi ha vinto? Raga? Chi ha vinto? PingDiff o Asganaway, non mi ricordo come si chiama. Grande. Ringraziamo il nostro sponsor, Skoda. E grazie mille per averci scelto. Ma siete andati tutti a dormire, eh? Cioè, non mi risponde nessuno. Ma vi sentite? Ah, sì, mi sentite. Siete solamente dei maledetti. Pam. Pam. Chissà, ma la prossima dovrebbe essere la partita di Conte. In teoria. In teoria sì, giusto? Ma che cavolo? E niente, non lo sapremo mai. Non lo sapremo mai. In teoria dovrebbe fare 3 match, da quello che ho capito. Quello di prima. Questo qua che viene, che dovrebbe essere quello di Conte. Spero non streamino quello per il seed. I don't know. E poi un altro. Ma chi è che mi scrive? Messaggi ricevuti. Ah, ok. Pum, puru, pum. Ma dai, ma davvero fanno anche una pausa di 18.000 ore tra un match e l'altro, raga, mamma mia. Ah, che robe. Pam param pam param param pam. Mm, 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 mm. Eccoci, finally. Finally. Vediamo se hanno una canzone copyrightata.
TJ here, Tang alongside me for game number 2 of our little
Speriamo di no.
impromptu cozy Tuesday night evening stream. It's Immune versus Imps, the battle for first seed, and as we already kind of know the result of this one, Tang, I think
Ma no, ma come fanno vedere Immune versus... fanno vedere Imps vs Immune. Quella dove Conte si spacca le cuffie, raga. Mamma mia.
Yeah, Immune against Imps, definitely not the result gonna happen that most were expecting, but yeah, Immune struggling. Like, there were some issues behind the scenes, there were technical limitations. I think it was actually Conte, the jungler, not having sound for part of the game, and then part of that, but I think more importantly, it's Imps really stepping up their game. I think their duo lane especially is their strong point with Crazy Legend, and with Samwise really holding their own against like one of those dual lanes that we were really expecting.
Comunque l'hanno detto anche loro che è un componente del team, che poi è Conte, ha giocato gran parte del match senza audio perché gli si sono spaccate le cuffie. E comunque, nonostante lo sappiano, fanno vedere quel match. Ai ai ai. Che porcheria questa stream, lo posso dire? Lo dico. Lo dico. Che porcheria. Potevano evitarsela, cioè. Onesto. Potevo evitarmela anche io, onesto. Non pensavo facessero vedere solo ed unicamente quel match. Sarò super onesto, altrimenti probabilmente non ci sarebbe stata questa stream extra, dato che anche domani devo streamare, perché c'è la stream che faccio ogni mercoledì dopo le 18. Avrei cilato volentieri adesso, per onesto.
Previously being the jungler, now swapping over into the off lane. So yeah, a lot of experience on that roster, but maybe not the best synergy. But who are we to say maybe we are wrong, and maybe they can prove us that way as well. But yeah, definitely Imps, they're not a team to sleep on, TJ.
Oh, no, absolutely not. As I say, you've got tons of experience here in individual players with their tournament performances backing them up. It's just a question, of course, of can all those players, have that synergy, play together as a team? Probably against Immune of old, when we talk about team synergy, probably one of the best teams to ever do it. But Immune made 4 changes to their roster as well. So they're also another team where we're looking and probably having a few questions about the synergy that they have. So, honestly, both teams got a lot to prove and both teams got to pull off an absolute banger. I think this was probably the game that probably made us realize, yeah, no, we need to stream these seeding games.
Yeah, definitely. Now, if we see a good game like this, it's just a bummer if it's gonna be played off stream if nobody has a chance to look at it. So I think with us having the opportunity and also like using this stream also as sort of a test for the weekend. Remember that is gonna be the finals weekend with the semifinals, the quarterfinals.
Prossimo weekend, cioè questo weekend in realtà, quindi il prossimo sì, questo. Ci saranno le fasi finali e lì ci sarà da divertirsi, raga, lì sì, ci sarà da divertirsi. Non vedo l'ora, raga.
Absolutely. If that's a caster curse if ever I have heard one tag, and that's coming from me right now. Kana's giving me an earful right now in the production as well. Anyway, no, we're all having good fun here. I think it's time we go for the draft. We built this one up enough. Imps versus Immune is Immune going to be on Dawnside.
Vediamo il draft. Vediamo il drafterino che ci combina Immune. Bandi Gideon, ok.
But some things don't change. This mid laner, this Gideon, no team just wants to let it through.
Yeah,
e Grim dall'altra parte, ok.
Since like forever, Gideon just has so much in his kit. Also,
quindi ban abbastanza standard per ora. Vedremo gli Immune con cosa iniziano. Grux, ok, ci sta. Morose molto forte con Grux. Tra l'altro Grux può anche essere flexato sia in solo che in giungla, quindi è un ottimo pick per iniziare. Iggy dall'altra parte, ok.
I know as well, just looking at the match history, Kimbo has been spamming this pick as well in the Iggy Scorch, expecting that to go into the mid lane. I think on the group stages, we didn't go into the off lane, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that might have been a bit of a fever dream. I'm not too sure anyway, but the Muriel, another one of these picks, these high value supporting picks being brought up here, going to be locked in for
Zarus, infatti è stato flexato. È stato flexato perché probabilmente Grux... non si sa se Zarus giungla, Grux giungla. Comunque è stato flexato Grux. Decker. Ok. Curioso Decker, perché Decker non è proprio super giga buona in questa patch. Beh, non è male, però. Probabilmente vogliono sfruttare la doppia gabbia. Decker Zarus, magari, è un'idea. Aurora. Gadget ban? Perché gadget ban?
I do actually really like this Aurora pick for Imps as well. Not just seeing kind of the rise of Aurora, of course, being one of the newer heroes into the roster. Aurora Jungle's kind of been taking over here in kind of the custom games, in kind of the scrims as well. But this feels like a good takeaway from Conte Cooler on Immune as well. I think we've seen in some of our practice sessions, kind of been running the show on that pick.
Kira, ok.
Gadget Seraph being banned.
Chissà se prende Sparrow, il buon Nefty.
Kira, though, not seeing what got cooking up. We're gonna have to wait until the final pick as a Howitzer will once again make their appearance in the mid lane.
Yeah, Howitzer on Mikey, one of those heroes he has been spamming. I think that's the one hero he just permanently played when he came into the scene. Wasn't around for a long time in
Sparrow,
the predecessor scene, but with MT dropping out of Immune for this Fangbooth, we do have him pilot that Howitzer in the mid lane, and then Sparrow being picked up by Neft, the hyper carry on that dual lane. Now the question just is, can Immune protect Neft?
Kalari.
Knife coming in from Imps from all the damage from the Kalari.
I mean, it feels like whenever someone locks in the Kalari as well. There's kind of like that sharp intake of breath, where it's like, you know, protects that ADC at all costs, really. Neff picking up something like the Sparrow as well has got no mobility. The only way out is to kind of kill your way out of those fights as well. So a lot of owners going to be on Penguin on this Decker. I think is going to be a real crucial role within the team to just kind of keep Neff safe in these fights and allow Neff to do Neff things. But Imps, they throw up a mighty team fighting comp. Holy.
Yeah, the team fighting is actually insane. Like, the Kalari pick almost doesn't fit in too well until you consider that, like, honestly, with the Kalari providing the damage, Aurora kind of has the sort of front lining on point anyways. So Kalari can always sort of stay in the shadows and make sure that the Sparrow can't ever free fire on any of the Imps members. But honestly, looking at this comp, I have a feeling that when Imps gets first to an objective, it's going to be really hard for Immune to really step in, especially with sort of the balancing at the moment sort of favoring those ADCs. So Ryux and Saros are going to have a pretty hard time really stepping into any of those objective pits.
You know, just the sheer amount of turrets that are going to be thrown down. Also, the ice wall, the glacial charge and come out from Aurora can cause havoc. I feel like there's a lot
interessante,
of as well.
interessante. Se non sapessi già che purtroppo questa partita sarà condizionata dal fatto che Conte non potrà sentire durante una bella frazione del match perché gli si spaccano la cuffia e quindi unlucky.
Yeah, and that Aurora is most likely going to be piloted by Jax, and that guy loves Aurora. I was actually talking to some other people today prior, and they just said, yeah, if you play against Imps, just ban Aurora, and they are not going to have an offlane anymore. So obviously that's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but you can definitely see that Jax loves to play that hero, is most confident in that one as well. And I think you have to be confident in whatever you're playing in the offlane, because you are going against the Grux of Morose.
And just the name that kind of can instill fear into the hearts of anyone in the solo queue when you see Morose on the opposing team, especially on one of his signature picks as well.
Allora, vediamo.
We're going to drop down for probably the most hype seeding game.
Ma vogliono farsi guardare.
Immune versus Imps, the battle for first seed out of Group B. Let's see what both these teams have got cooked up. So Imp's going to be on Dawn side, Immune going to be on Dusk as well. Nice cinematic camera of Kira with that skin as well, parted by the Crazy Legend. Lots to look forward to here, Tang.
Lots to look forward to. Honestly, TJ, like, whenever somebody says Grux, whenever says someone Morose and Grux, those two words combined, think of those gifs going around in the community with Morose having a bit of a field day, dressing as the Grux as well. I'm really sad that we don't have any pictures here right now, but instead we are going to be able to see it in action instead.
Well, we're also getting, hopefully, that performance to say why this pick is his signature one as well, going back to what he has played in previous tournaments, in previous Fangbooths as well. Honestly, so much to look forward to. Another player I want to highlight we've not spoken about yet. We mentioned about the pick. We mentioned about the Kalari, but not mentioned about Ragnarok. And honestly, I really like what I've been seeing from this jungler on the side of the Imps. No matter on what team they're playing, I just love that aggressive assassin style. I'm normally used to seeing him play something like the Seraph.
Yeah, likes to play Seraph, also likes to play counters. So Kalari is definitely in a similar vein. Definitely one of those heroes that Ragnarok is very confident in, knows how to push his leads.
It's a me, Mikey.
Again,
grande Mikey mid, mamma mia.
Leads, you need to
che
get
vibes.
First. And Kalari at the moment has quite the slow clear speed. So really not expecting to have too much in the way of presence in the early game, as we're actually getting a look, and it's not the Grux in the offlane, but instead it is in the jungle. So it's going to be the Saras being picked up by Morose instead.
It's fine. You can kind of just like, when you remember what I previously said, kind of just cross out the Grux and just replace that with the Zaras.
Sono proprio curioso di vedere il momento in cui a Conte gli si spaccano le cuffie. Cosa succede?
When you think back on it, it's like, yeah, there was that flex potential here, but okay, Grux into the jungle. You know, does that really change much from a game plan perspective for Immune?
I don't think so. I think maybe the Saras has a bit of an easier matchup into the Aurora. Maybe can punish her a bit better as well. Like, follow the Aurora with the Colosseum if she ever threatens to get away with one of this glacial sort of charge. I think the Grux also has a pretty decent gank setup, has a bit longer hard CC as well. So if he decides to impact any of those lanes, he might have an easier time. He's looking towards the mid lane, blink forward by Mike. He's not going to connect. Blink away by Kimbo though. Fast reactions. He's going to dodge out on the stun from the Grux.
Dai, Moroso, spaccagli il culo.
Just whistling down its Aurora, but there's the glacial charge. The ice wall gets that solo laner away, but look at that HP drop though. Jax does get a little lucky with that one, but Mikey blinking forward, the confidence. Lovely to see that on a howitzer.
Yeah, lovely to see for sure. It's going to be blink for blink just exchanged, and now he is actually pretty helpless in the mid lane against Kalari. So definitely the Hail Mary play that doesn't work out this time, but a good attempt. And I love seeing those proactive plays, especially in a tournament setting where, you know, at least something is on the line, even if it's not an
Eccolo che
it's
là.
not an elimination match. Now Neft is gonna get caught by Ragnarok. It's just gonna take a bit of damage, but the real prize is the gold buff.
And so they are able to secure it as well. Penguin wasn't able to pick it off with that 3-pointer stasis bomb on that left-hand side here as well. But Ragnarok, as you say, got a bit of a slower jungle start, and also got to wait a little bit more because Conticula's Grux has a lot more impact in the ganks. Jack still has a blink though. He's going to try and outplay as best he can. Leaps up.
Lo prende. Ha blinkato.
Slash and grab, but Jax just times that blink to perfection and gets himself to safety.
And that's the frustrating thing about playing against Aurora. It just feels like she is uncatchable. It just has so much mobility with the passive as well, evading so much damage and then using the glacial charge together with that blink to get away. No, the wave is in a bad spot, so it's not all good for Jax, but honestly, we highlighted it before. He wants to be the front line. He doesn't need the most damage. Like, his most important trait is always going to be that ultimate in those team fights. So honestly, for Jax, he is fine with this. Conte in the mid lane, though.
Kimbo is in a spot of bother. No blinks for either of the mid laners. Kimbo actually going into the opposing red buff jungle. Going to bump into Ragnarok as well, kind of interrupting that one. Double crush, double smash and grab. Ragnarok's got to be careful. Uses the double jump, gets to the flower, but it's going to be picked off. First blood goes to Mikey.
Qua sa che si lascia pure Kimbo.
Conticula wants even more. The hail of arrows to slow coming down. Slow minds from Mikey as well. It all leads for a piercing arrow. Neff going to find the mark. 2 kills for him.
And that's why Mikey blinks on him in the level 2, because he knows in 4 minutes time there is gonna be a gank where Iggy is gonna need that blink and it's not gonna be up. So easy 2k secured, a bit of a cheeky invade by Kalari, gets punished, blink forward by Grux. Double knockup into a double pull means lights out for both of those heroes. Mid-jungle duo struggling in the early game. Honestly, something that I was expecting with the Kalari. She scales super well in this patch, but her early game is definitely not her strong point.
I'd say it's fantastic to have that late game, but you've got to get there at this point. So Immune, we know what they're like when they get a lead and they're able to impact the map here. But for the Imps, though, seeing an opportunity, the reset from dual lane, they have a gap, they have a window, and they're going to take it. And this first Fangtooth is going to go towards them.
Yeah, and Iggy has just the most objective damage in the game as well, so can just burst through it, no problem. Kalari has to delay her clear a tiny bit already, a level down, so it's always the struggle. But if you get the Fangtooth early on, 6 minutes in, like, you can't even trade it out for the mini prime that spawns in at 7 minutes. Definitely a good play for Imps, recognizing the sort of back timers for Immune and just instantly punishing it, getting
interessante questo match, giocato molto bene.
You have to be able to do to take down a team like Immune as well. Imps though finding themselves 2 kills down, but
qua Moroso sta distruggendo già.
As well. Just having a little look across the XP leads as well. There has been some invades from both junglers as well, as Conticula able to take this 5 camp just to the left of that red buff as well. As dual lane here taking some damage. Crazy Legends actually going to be a level behind Neft as well, but should tick over to that level 5 very quickly. Ragnar going to bump into Conticula as that red buff still hasn't been taken down, and this Kalari will be losing that buff on their right hand side.
Yeah, and that's a disaster. Level 6 to level 4, the Grux can do whatever he wants in the red side jungle because Kalari can't do anything against it. Neither can Jax. Can maybe look at Conte, but Conte is already done with the 5 camp. Did get the 2 camp, the 5 camp, and the red buff. Got everything. Did get the cleaning service fee as well. In the Kalari having to retreat. So definitely heads up play by the Grux that is instantly gonna rotate over to the mini prime with no jungle camps back left up. Means the mini prime is gonna be the next target.
And just knowing that Ragnarok, it's kind of like throwing down the gauntlet for him, right? It's like you can either try and contest me on this mini prime, or you have to go to your blue side, because by the way, that's the only side of jungle I haven't been able to invade as well. So some good macro play coming out from Immune, and actually from both of these teams as well. And from the seeding games, honestly, like, we haven't had bloodbaths, we haven't had team death matches. We've actually been seeing some pretty clean gameplay in the early 10 minutes of both of these games.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem for Imps at the moment is just the XP leads across the board. We see it on the offlane, we see it in the jungle, we see it in the mid lane as well. They are struggling a tiny bit in those lanes. I think their comp is pretty strong in the late game. We highlighted it before, but all in all, like, pretty sort of like a match state that we would expect, seeing those two comps in action. But definitely Immune's sort of heroes really a lot stronger in those early games, especially with the Grux getting those picks into in that invade with the Kalari means he is pulling ahead quite
Moroso inizia a macinare anche lui.
Base at the moment, that is due to those audio issues I was mentioning a bit earlier, but all credit to Imps regardless.
Absolutely. Here you can just see Morose has got that mini prime buff as well from that neutral objective. Take Jax. He's trying to weather the storm once again, but Morose causing problems. That tower is going to lose the first quarter of its HP. But Ragnarok and Kimbo in towards the river. The ward does come. There is a ward there, but Morose actually just going to go take the silent buff. So under no real danger here. But honestly, with that mini prime buff could be causing some problems. I want to see how Immune look to respond there. Ragnarok's just happy he's got a jungle to actually farm here.
Yeah, definitely is happy about that, but still is quite a bit behind. Conte on the left-hand side might be looking for Crazy's Legend and Samwise, but they know something is up. Larry, I think one thing I wanted to mention is that he did go the Assassin's Crest, not Judgment. Now Grux is going.
And look for that play as the Gazette fence.
Mamma mia.
Into the Warlord's challenge. But the Blinks and the Phantom Glide have to be utilized, and Imps are able to live to fight another day. Ragnarok is here. A lot of resources were burned on that play, so is HP. Wondering if Ragnarok can find an avenue on towards Neff. Look for the blink, look for the play, look on towards Crazy Legend. Reverse of Fortune comes down, keeps the ADC alive, and Ragnarok looks to pounce. But Neff has already got the Crazy Legend, and now Ragnarok with the guillotine into the backline.
Questo potrebbe essere un disaster. E lo è.
Will be able to pick him down because Kimbo makes his move from the mid lane, and Samwise gets away with a sliver of HP. 2 for 1 on the left-hand side.
2 for 1. They wanted to go for the Kira, but a good reversal of fortune by the Muriel stays for a bit longer. Means that Kalari can actually pounce on Neff that did blink away from the guillotine, but it's just not enough when Kalari can follow it herself. Now 2 for 1, a bit of a kill lead going over to the Imps, but in total it's still Immune having 3 kills to 2, but those kills come at a really bad timing as well, TJ, because we see Fangtooth has spawned, the second one of the game.
And just,
sì, c'è il Fangtooth adesso.
You'd expect the gang to come through and it would be like, okay, we get the kill, go straight towards the neutral objective, at least even things up. But the fact that that play backfired on them, Kimbo making a good rotation, just doesn't leave a good opportunity here. Conticula is back over here. Both blinks are down on this dual lane. Reversal of Fortune is down, and Conticula has got a smash and grab. He's got a crush. He's got to look towards Samwise. No reversal to get himself out. This one's smash and grab. CC. Okay. Samwise gonna bite the dust. Ness taken down. Ragnarok is already on this Fangtooth here, but he's got to get out of dodge very quickly. He's taking damage from the neutral, having to jump the wall. Immune taking their mark on this left-hand side.
Stavolta sì.
Immune says, thank you very much for the leash. We are gonna take it from here. It's gonna be the first Fangtooth secured for themselves. 1 for 1 in Fangtooth. So definitely a lot of action happening on that left-hand side. the right side as we're panning over. Not really much happening there. Playing against Aurora, all Ceres can do, honestly, is just to bully her, but kills to be had is really, really hard. Ragnarok on the left-hand side again, but mainly wants to cover the potential dive by the Gux, that instead is just gonna do his red side. A bit of a breathing room now as we get a tab screen. It's a bit of a CS lead, honestly quite a bit of a CS lead, about 70 to 80 CS in favor of Immune. Definitely something that you don't want to see for Imps, but looking at those XP differences, something we could have predicted as well.
Immune still have all the tools available to them as well, but I am just really worried for the Imps on this solo side as well. I mean, Ragnarok, it just feels, has been matching Conticula as best as they can, but it has been at the cost of Jax on this right-hand side. Tang, as an off-lane mate, and you probably have been in this scenario before yourself, where you just feel like you are on an island. But how do you think that is going to play out? So maybe I'm to hold that for. Okay, no, we're all good.
Ma pronuncia
Conticula. Down on that Aurora against Morose. Definitely one of those places that sort of balloon that lead. Now Conte again against that Aurora that is just gonna drop a wave again. She is used to it. It's not a problem at all. Jax is just gonna generate a recall. But honestly, DJ, at that point, you just have to suffer. You have to hope that the rest of your players are gonna make a difference fighting on the duel lane.
In the fire is going to be popped, stuck in the crazy cage. So the reversal comes down. It's a heavy shield, but Neft still hitting the shots.
Attenzione perché qua c'è la rotation e qua potrebbe essere un super disaster. Sì.
Neft and Penguin have overstayed the welcome because Kimbo's here as well. Penguin double jumps, blinks away, leaving Neft for dead, and Imps are just going to collapse on towards ADC. Looks for the blast flower, does a little bit of trickery, but Ragnarok's there to cash in a kill on towards the Immune AD carry. Mikey's here, but what can Mikey do?
I think a bit of an ambitious cleanse there by Neft, unless he got the shield somewhere else from, but I don't think so. So yeah, a few resources invested there, guillotine down by the Kalari, which usually means that she can't impact any other lane for the next 70 seconds.
Mi sa che è successo adesso perché contro FK.
That Kalari did go for the next in this game. So these days, we see those Kalari players usually opt to go for the Judgment instead, to have reliable damage every 10 or so seconds, depending on the level of the hero. But instead, with the next, you have a bit of a better damage combo. You also have a bit of
sì, guardalo lì in base.
But you can't really use it as often now on the dual lane, ultimate use by Jax.
Crisis is going to root up Morose and start to deal with those shards of ice. Jax linking forward. Morose actually blinks past the wall before it comes down. Morose so slippy on that solo lane, keeps himself alive, and Imp's gank comes to nothing.
It comes to nothing. Mini Prime is up though, but Penguin is there to cover. Really well played by the support player, showing his presence, making sure that Imps knows that there is going to be contest happening.
Ovviamente col jungler FK loro vanno a fare gli obiettivi, ci sta.
I've got Morose here, who's just came off the reset as well, but did lose his blink earlier on. But that mini prime, Reaper wasn't even expecting to be taken down that quick, but they make it rain. The ultimate's coming down, and blink away is able to keep Ragnarok alive. Samwise though might be the sacrificial lamb for this play, but he still has a blink available and a good utilization of the cooldown. Everyone gets out alive.
Qua unlucky.
I was actually expecting a bloodbath to happen, but a clean disengage means that it's just a mini prime being secured by the Kalari. No follow-up deaths happening there either. Jax is gonna catch the mid wave, make sure that no waves are being dropped to turrets as well. Only that off lane is gonna suffer, with the Sarah is getting a bit more accelerated, 160 CS, almost 10 CS a minute, and also getting the first turret gold. So that is gonna be a dangerous dinosaur in the late game.
And I think not just the late game, but also the mid game as well, looking towards these neutral objective fights. There's not really much else for Morose to stay in that right-hand side, so expect him to link up with Conte Cooler, link up, go towards that mid lane, start to just impact around the map as well. Level 12 Zarus is not something you can scoff at all. Fangtooth will be coming up here. We are currently one apiece here for both of these teams, but once again, Imps, their setup and their objective play here
dura.
really is impressing me here.
It's really impressive for sure, but now it's going to be Immune having the first move. They have to give up the pit, clear out all of those Iggy turrets, with Aurora being a bit late. Ragnarok is fishing for Neft, is not going to get anything. Crazy Legend has to be careful. It's going to be stun connecting, dash away by Crazy Legend. Colosseum dropped.
The ultimate's coming down from Morose, seeing what he can do. Samwise just charge that reversal of fortune. Colosseum is down for this upcoming fight, but Kimbo also going low from the fight with Mikey on that right-hand side. Means Immune still has
ci provano.
this pit. They're going to start up the Fangbooth once again. What's coming down? And Imp's looking to move into this play. It's so good when they're able to set up, but they got to do it all themselves. As Jack's going to wall off the pits and try and split this fight. Try and get into the backline. Conticula goes in.
Mamma mia.
Ragnarok, maybe taking down this Kalaria, but in the foreground, no Samwise. Reverse of fortune comes down, but it cannot be enough to save the Crazy Legend. It's a crazy fight as Jax is still stuck inside the pits. Has got Neff, but it will cost him his life, and Fangbooth still is dealing damage. Conticula got to be careful. Death and there's no jungler for the side of Immune. No jungler for the side of the Imps. The Fangbooth is the after 4 as this fight still carries on. Mikey's too low, can't be involved, but Morose in the middle of it all, looking to do
No, mi è stata la lancia.
But Samwise slams the door in his face, but everyone's too low. Everyone has to back away from a 4 for 3 at the Fangbooth pit.
Bello questo fight.
And the Fangbooth is not dropping at all, so it is gonna be a sort of even engaged, even fights. But who is gonna make it back first? It's most likely gonna be Immune. We already see 4 members of them is going straight towards that Fangbooth, but those waves actually not looking too well. Neft has to catch the left one first, make sure that the tier 1 doesn't drop. Crazy Legend is gonna have a bit of a peek into the Fangbooth, but TJ, I think we're just gonna see a repeat of the last fight.
Oh, well, here we go again. Conticula looking for the engage on towards the Fangbooth.
Niente.
Just burnt it down.
Ottimo, tra l'altro, il wall di Aurora.
From the glacial charge, Criticism comes down.
Qua. Bella giocata di Aurora.
Down Immune's jungler for it. Immune want the exit frags. They want to get a bit of revenge, but the Imps scatter to the wind and get away with the neutral.
Bella giocata di Aurora qua, Andare a chiudere il jungler dentro per shottarlo.
There's a blink coming out from Neff. Ragnarok looking to follow it as well. Going to utilize his own blink as well, but they're not able to get the pick on towards the Sparrow just yet. As Immune's still dancing with death, but Imps though just keeping themselves in this game. Some very smart decision making.
Yeah, and I think they also got the shutdown on Morose. Sadly, it was on the Muriel, so not the best hero you want to have it on. But with the Muriel providing that shielding for his carries, it's going to mean that the Kira and the Iggy are going to be that much more dangerous in those fights once they can survive a bit longer, especially Kimbo, honestly. In those team fights, we've seen those turrets just shred through the front line of Immune. And honestly, those objectives fights would be so much harder without that Iggy.
Yeah, just eyes on this on Kimbo. I mean, as I say, he's been spamming these spamming Iggy in these games as well. And honestly, with these fights, you know, if you're able to make the pick work, then absolutely power to you. Not really a pick that we see many mid laners like to pick up. I'm going for Howard, so I'll go for a gadget, and Kimbo though goes to the blink, but Morose follows with the Colosseum. A good epoch comes down.
Fatto usare la stasi, va bene.
Having to weather the storm and outplays an Immune gank.
Yeah, clean play by Kimbo there for sure. Loses his blink in the process, but maybe Ragnarok can do something on the other side of the map. No, Neft is smart. Neft plays back, so Kimbo is just gonna be punished a tiny bit, but no Colosseum now in the near future for that Sarah's. Ragnarok looking at Neft.
Oh, Neff actually stepped forward and Ragnarok's still around, but Neff taking the damage. Neff just takes down Ragnarok, and the jungler has fallen. Conticula re-engages, trying to get a pick back, but he might be off 2 more than he can chew as Samwise Crazy Legend still dealing the damage, but the Dusk is not enough. But in the mid lane, Jax with the Criticism, a good epoch will at least wait out that ultimate, but into the waiting arms, into the jaws, into the abyss, and Kimbo opens up for the Inferno to come out. Boops.
Wow.
Mikey back away, but now we've got Jax gonna find two with Penguin with that play with the Rift Walkers, with the Iron Strike Kimbo low. So is Jax, but Penguin just doesn't have the damage. Mum's get away, but look at Morose senses blood in the water. Jax able to get away. Kimbo's trying to make a move towards that final blast fire, but he is going to fall. It's pandemonium across the map.
Conticula, sì. Io non ce la fanno proprio a dire il nome giusto. Conticula.
Entire time, starting with that gank towards Neft on the left hand side, so could have used that reversal of fortune on that Kalari move, would have made the dive a lot more viable. Also, the dive onto the mid lane also wasn't used.
Jax sta scrivendo, sta flammando i suoi compagni, ovviamente ci muore.
Jax does the funny, presses jump twice, presses his Q, and he is out of there. Aurora just really hard to lock down for Morose.
Well, it's not for lack of trying as well. How many times have we seen Jax use that exact combo? But we are starting to see what that Aurora can do in these team fights. The solo laners start to get involved. Those Colosseums, Morose has been more than happy to utilize that ultimate, just not finding values with the Zarus ultimate just yet, though. But Jax, though, those Cryosisms, those Hoarfrost really starting to cause problems for Immune.
And I think it's just gonna get worse and worse. Now Kimbo in the mid lane is gonna be caught again by Contest. The stasis up, but knockback into the waiting arms of the Grux, but with the reversal of fortune coming in by Kimbo, keeps him alive.
Niente, riescono a sopravvivere ancora. Anzi, Ragnarok si fa pure la kill.
And that's going to be the death mark living up to his name. But Morose, Colosseum onto Samwise. That's the Colosseum we were looking for. Gets a stack and gets away. Ragnarok is here. So is Neft. So is Penguin as well, just in case that fight carries on. But Jack's looking for more. The Hoarfrost comes down. He has already used that ultimate as well. Can't find the lockdown just yet. It's 1-for-1. Mid laner for support.
Bella partita comunque.
For more. They're going to back away.
Nonostante i problemi tecnici di Conte, è una bella partita.
Keeps him alive for long enough for the help to arrive, and then Ragnarok, the man on the screen right now, gets the execute onto that howitzer, and with 4 kills, 3 deaths and 2 assists. He's definitely in his elements at the moment. It's gonna check
adesso c'è il primal.
A lot of wards close by. It's not gonna hit any of them, but the members of Immune not really interested in that Fangtooth. Potentially instead, they wanna keep their eyes on that big prime. Maybe get a cheeky pick into that prime play, but Kalari is also fishing in the mid lane.
Crazy Legend and Ragnarok from the top ropes play, looking onto Neft, but just the sidestepping coming out. Neft avoids absolutely every skill shot, and that little collapse doesn't result in much. But as you say, the neutrals are both in place. Samwise actually caught out by Mikey here, but reinforcements on the way. Crazy Legend, who is
qua Mikey si è fatto prendere.
That will be picked off as Ragnarok uses the next, uses the extra mobility to take down Immune's mid laner, and with Primal Fangtooth on that left-hand side, might even be an opportunity for teams to actually trade the neutrals. It looks like that's what's going to happen.
And if it's a trade of neutrals, it's always going to be in favor of Imps getting the better hands, getting that Fangtooth, the third Fangtooth for them, and also the
sì.
So it does look like that is going to be the case. Prime secured by Immune is going to give them a temporary buff to those minions, a bit of health regen as well, but that primal Fangtooth is going to make those fights so impossible for the side of Immune. With the Iggy turret also dealing true damage, so does the rest of the abilities. And even against a prime buff, you can always siege, but against a primal Fang, it's going to be really hard for Immune to do anything for the next 2 minutes or so.
Well, as a wise man once said, Prime is temporary, but Fangbooths are eternal. That wise man was me, by the way. Just going to shout myself out for this one here. So that objective, we're going to see how that works out. Jax, unfortunately, hits his noggin on the wall there. Slightly unfortunate little interaction on the right-hand side anyway. But honestly, this game, I'm really enjoying watching. So I'm so glad we were able to stream this one as well. As both these teams, it feels like they're just neck and neck at this point.
Yeah, neck and neck, and I think we can expect a lot more close games like these on the broadcast on the weekend, where like all of those teams are gonna face off in a best of 3 as well. And
Giusto, giusto, il prossimo weekend appunto, cioè questo weekend in realtà ci sarà la fase finale del torneo e loro dicono che saranno dei match interessanti, molto equilibrati, tipo questo, sono d'accordo, perché ci saranno team più forti. E sarà best of 3 e la finale no idea, probabilmente best of 5. Sarà davvero da divertirsi il prossimo weekend.
Teams before this game actually started, but hey, 26 approaching 27 minutes on the board here. No neutrals, nothing to really fight around here, but IM's been doing such a good job. They've already taken down that mid lane tier 1. They've got members on the left hand side looking to siege onto the tier 2 on the left, but it's just both teams starting to dance around a little bit, starting to match each other's rotations. No one really giving an opportunity to be picked off.
Yeah, it's just Jax pushing on the right-hand side, at least getting some more structure gold on him. I think one thing I wanted to highlight is that he actually got an XP lead ever so slightly against Morose at this point in time, with those objectives being claimed by his team as well. So, TJ, you were asking like 5 minutes before, like, what do you do as an offlane? You just hope your team carries you. There is no issue with that at all. As long as you are not the one completely feeding your mind out, it's fine to not be the focal point in all of your games. Instead, if you play back, if you play cool, calm, and collected as Jax is 1-1 the scoreline, you can be down 40 CS at 15 minutes, and it's not gonna be the end of the world whatsoever. Now we see Primal Fangtooth has expired, so has the Prime buff. But as you said, TJ, as a wise person once said, now the Fangtooth, it is definitely permanent.
Those 8% bonuses to your power, to your defenses as well. And I was just wondering as well, when we looked at these team compositions, was this really the situation we were expecting? I mean, your assessments, Tang, of kind of like where we're at this point.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Kalari is just going to be able to one-shot Neft at all times. Like, even with Penguin, like, he doesn't have any shields. Neft does have the cleanse. But honestly, a Deathmark Guillotine into a Nex should almost already finish the Sparrow off. So it's going to be really hard for Immune to play those fights. They need somebody to actually cover those flanks, to make sure that they always know where the Kalari is, to make sure that he can't just one-shot one of those carries. And I think that is what Immune is trying to do as well, with what's coming out. Mikey, though, in the mid lane is getting caught against.
È già la terza volta che si fa prendere Mikey, però.
He's got to make it, but he's got a little bit of safety. But Jackson Kimbo is still around, going to be stunned up, and he's going to drop. And left-hand side, Crazy Legend is going to fall. And Imps have grabbed 3 members of Team Immune. It looks like most of them on that left-hand side.
Già la terza volta che si fa prendere Mikey. Poi si è fatto prendere anche il Neftino e Penguin.
Yeah, they want to go for the tier 2 in the mid lane. Morose is close by, trying to cover it. Grug's not really strong enough to actually defend this, though, so he has to walk back. Iggy, damage against turrets is just insane, so that tier 2 instantly goes down the left-hand side. Tier 2 also going down a lot of gold in Imp's pockets. At least no objectives up apart from that one, so they have to siege Morose's there.
It just seems that Imps, just seeing that weakness and just pouncing on the mistakes as well. Sieging mid lane, sieging left hand side as well. Morose has been moved.
Perché ha fatto quel muro Aurora? Perché forse le torrette riescono a sparare attraverso. Ottimo pick qua da parte di Conte.
Hey Neff, how you doing? You're going to be spawning up. Samwise able to get in towards the jungle, but Immune at least able to defend both inhibitors and grab Ragnarok on the way out.
Yeah, and I think that kill is not something to scoff at all, because those objectives have spawned now. Primal Fangtooth is up. We see 5 members heading there right now for the side of Immune. So I think they're just instantly gonna start this up. Imps doesn't have any jungler to secure that one. So either they wanna fight 4v5, or it's just gonna be a give up for Imps. It does look like they might wanna contest.
Jax goes into the pit there. Hoarfrost and Crisis on towards Neff in the back has let the Primal Fangtooth do the
Vediamo
work.
se riescono a fare il Primal.
Will go down, but here's Kimbo, here's Grace Legend, here's Samwise with the
no.
personal fortune.
Oh, they got it.
Actually stolen the Primal Fangtooth. How on earth did that happen? But Immune are going to be having to think about that in their spawn as Samwise and Kimbo want even more. They've even grabbed 3 kills in the pit in that fight. Samwise taking matters into their own hands. Kimbo's Molotov gets the killing blow. What on earth was that?
That Muriel on steroids running down the enemy members as well at the back end of the fight. But yeah, it's the Fangtooth not.
Mamma mia che danni che fa muovere, ragazzi.
Getting stolen away by imps with no jungler present. Means Fangtooth is still up on that Muriel, I think on that Iggy as well. If I'm
con Callari qua lo fanno easy.
It's gonna shred in a second.
Callari e Iggy poi.
Damage coming out with those turrets dealing so much damage, and that is gonna be double bubble buffs for imps. Immune really having to defend this one next is gonna be a pain for them.
Just as well with how imps have been playing, they've already laid down that groundwork as well, clearing up
qua è la fine.
left hand side in terms of structures. They still have to deal with the wave on the left hand side though, so Immune will get a little bit of respite. As I say, double bubble buffs are going to be on some members, not all at least, but man, Immune dropping the ball there in those last couple of moments. It's going to be up to them to try and recover it.
Yeah, now it's imps in the kill lead as well. They also caught up in CS. It's just neck on neck this entire game. But TJ, the one thing that is not neck on neck is the objective control that imps have been so dominant in this game. 4 Fangtooth for them. 3 of them are permanent. So bonus power for them, and now they have the prime. They have Fangtooth at least on the Muriel and on the Iggy, and I'm definitely expecting them wanting to lay siege into the base of Immune. We see a bit of a split going on. Clary still a bit further
33 minuti di match per ora. Decisamente molto più equilibrato rispetto a tutti gli altri match che abbiamo visto fino ad ora. Probabilmente anche il più bello.
Immune respects it. They don't know where Kalari is. They're not pressing the trigger quite yet, but actually Jax gets caught, blinks away, Colosseum.
And is able to utilize a glacial charge to get away, but Immune, again, just the patience. They still have the opportunity to punish. If imps do not play this perfectly, you cannot afford to be caught out like that. We already saw what happened to Ragnarok, who's actually sitting very pretty with all of the orbs around him, green, blue, and red buff as well. He's just dancing with death. Conticula smash and grab narrowly avoids catching onto Ragnarok. And Siege onto the right-hand side. Ragnarok just playing distraction duty on that left as well. Glacial charge comes down. The wall off the minion wave, so Immune actually can't deal any damage to the wave. That's going to be the solo lane.
I minion sparano attraverso il muro, ecco perché fanno quel muro.
The mid lane move towards the right-hand side. Mid lane's not in a great position on the mini waves. And what can they do? Penguin stasis bomb. Not going to find the mark either, but these mini waves are on the way, and Immune is still stuck in their base.
So usually what you want to do in cases like these is you want to link up those minion waves, make sure that the left one pushes in at the same time as the mid one is, but it does look like Aurora is pushing in the left one already. Mid one is going to be pushed in a second. Ragnarok still taking his time.
Jax able to move that mini wave underneath.
Penso proprio che con questo push alla fine. Attenzione.
Ragnarok, but the Warlord's challenge is not able to find the mark. Mid lane inhibitor still drops. Marky throws down and make it rain, trying to take care of the minions, but the buffed up minions, those small little creatures that we just take for granted so much, just simply tank all of the shots, and they finally going to take down the third and final inhibitor on that duo side. Now Immune are penned in to their base as well against buffed up minions, buffed up members of the imps. But they don't have an opportunity yet. They don't quite have the pick. No one is overstaying their welcome. Immune are just waiting this one out, and they're the one who want to wait as well. They want to leave these buffs off, but Jax moves into the core, throws down the glacial charge, rises up onto all 5 members who get back to base, and Crazy Legend, the purge onto the back. But Immune finally gets to safety, and Morose re-engages Colosseum onto 2 to take down Jax, the core to half, but Immune want even more, and Conticula in the back.
Niente. Conticula.
But Kimbo is still alive. Ragnarok is still here, and so is Samwise. But Immune might have done enough to keep this game going.
Yeah, we see Imps was a bit impatient there, but it is for a good reason, because Prime was about to expire. So Aurora goes in, tries to use the Prime buff to its fullest potential, trying to close out the game, but good defense by Immune. Neft is smelling something. He is smelling a rat. Kimbo making sure to get to safety. No lazy backs allowed. But honestly, TJ, the fight was so long. The siege was so long. Fangtooth has already respawned, so we might just see the next fight coming in a second.
Well, they're going to be running this one back. Ragnarok actually caught out in that mid lane, but thankfully Samwise is here playing bodyguard. I just want to take a moment to highlight Samwise. I think this mural has really been so important to the Imp. Samwise playing out of his mind this game.
Yeah, Samwise is considered to be one of the top 3 supports in this tournament by many, and he has been showing it in this one. Really on point reversal of fortunes. Always when Jax is the one going in, he is the one to provide the hard CC with the knockup as well. Combining
hanno preso un altro Prime al quinto.
with the shielding as well makes it so much easier for his team to actually find those engages, and also with the Kalari usually being so easy to pick on, with Muriel in the backlines makes it just easier for him to actually face check a lot of those targets. Now Primal Fang was secured. Morose is in a bad spot, has to be careful.
It's going to be already being hit by that Serenity, but Morose thankfully is able to shrug it off and get back to tower. Jack's looking for another way in towards the backline, another glacial charge, but this time Immune. They've seen where this one goes, want absolutely nothing to do with that. Aurora is hunting around for another multiple person cryocism or Prime. Might just be where this game deciding fight happens.
And I think Immune kind of has to take the fight, because you can't really defend in a 5 versus 5 with no inhibs up against the double bubble buff. So I think your best bet is to just throw everything you have at the Prime fight and hope that at least something sticks. I think Conte agrees with me, does position pretty aggressively. 5 versus 5. This is most likely going to be the game deciding fight.
All 3 turrets are down, hitting onto the All Prime. Jax throws
Altro
down.
bellissimo muro di Aurora.
The All Prime just gets shredded through.
Bellissima, ma anche Aurora comunque ha giocato da Dio.
Neft trying to open up, trying to rescue what they can. Morose's Colosseum does come down, but Neft is blown up, vanishes in a blink of an eye.
Aurora ha fatto un lavoro di zoning devastante col muro e poi con la E che ha bloccato Conte. Bravissimo Aurora. Bravissimo Aurora. Ha fatto la differenza in parecchi fight. Ha giocato davvero bene nel sto giro. Molto bene ha giocato. Vabbè, direi che è finita.
He's gonna try to buy some time, but still 30 seconds. Ragnarok is looking to get the kill. It's gonna connect with a dagger. It's gonna go with the guillotine. Just completely one-shots the Howie and is gonna destroy the hopes of Immune getting the first seed in the groups as well.
This was one of the games that we wanted to see. We wanted to know how the Imps claimed their first seed, and that is how you claim a first seed. Imp's gonna lock in their spot, so does Immune as well. What a game of Predecessor between these 2 teams.
Yeah, definitely a game that we weren't expecting to go down like it did, but definitely delivered on the hype that we were expecting though. So like result, not 100% expected, but a good game regardless. Actually better than one could have hoped for almost. So definitely Imps, really well played. Big props to them.
Yeah, big props to the Imps as well, showing up. I mean, just it feels like kind of it's one of the moments where everyone on that team had like a little individual highlight reel as well. They all came together to make that competition work as well. And honestly, they must be feeling great after that performance as well. To have that result against a team like Immune, setting themselves up pretty well for that main
bel match questo.
in just a couple of days' time. It's Tuesday night here, you know, Saturday we played those quarterfinals, but again, there's still a lot.
Probabilmente il miglior match che abbiamo visto fino ad ora.
Not by a long shot the perfect game from either team here.
Il prossimo match dovrebbe essere per il terzo e quarto seed tra il team di Sparrolli e non mi ricordo quale altro team, però onestamente non so voi, ditemi voi, io me lo eviterei anche. Io potrei stoppare qua la live, ditemi voi se volete vederlo o meno.
Further into the tournament, and Imps definitely got their chance in this one. Getting top 1 in the group A is gonna mean a lot for them, I'm sure.
Well, as we're going to see in the bracket as well, that is how, you know, Imps and Immune were able.
Oh, what? Ok. Nefty ha già giocato? Sì, ha giocato il match precedente. One second, che qua si è bloccato tutto. Ah, ok. No. Devi vedere. Do una refreshata. Sono andati offline, raga. Ok, sono live adesso. Stanno avendo problemi. Sono io che ho problemi, sono loro. Devi vedere, va. Devi vedere. Mi sa che sono io. Ok. No, erano loro, ok. Erano loro. Io onestamente me lo risparmierei questo match. Se voi volete vederlo, ditemelo e lo guardiamo. Altrimenti io stacco qua. Ditemi voi. Tanto Conte ha già giocato. Purtroppo hanno fatto vedere l'unico match che hanno perso. Vabbè. Io mi l'accellerei onestamente, anche perché sono abbastanza stufino. Tanto vi posto tutti i social. Eccoli qua. E domani c'è un video nuovo, esce sul canale YouTube. Riguarderà lo Smite. E ci saranno anche 2 chicche interessanti a fine video. Su come utilizzare lo Smite in maniera super pro. Quindi mi raccomando, dateci un'occhiata. Anyway, io direi che siccome nessuno è interessato, si finisce qua. E noi ci becchiamo a domani. Domani che c'è live dalle 18. Grazie mille per aver seguito. Alla prossima. Ciao ciao.